This is SciByte, episode 55 for July 24th, 2012. Hi everyone, and welcome to SciByte, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly science podcast, live every Tuesday evening over at jblive.tv and released for downloads every Wednesday morning at jupiterbroadcasting.com. My name is Chris, and joining us, like every single week, is our host, Heather. Hey there, Heather.
Hey there, Chris.
Hey Heather, happy science to you.
Happy science.
What are we talking about this week?
Today we're going to take a look at digital vision, allergy treatments, storms, braziers, fire extinguishers, Alzheimer's research, spacecraft updates, remembering Sally Ride, and as always, take a peek back into history and up in the sky this week.
Wow, braziers and storms? I better not delay us anymore. Let's get to the news. Okay, Heather, what is the first news story today?
All right, vision aids.
Okay.
So stepping back just a moment, we're going to look at the eye. So it has the retina, that has photoreceptors that takes the light coming into your eye and translate it into electrical signals, which are then sent along the neural pathways, to your brain. But when those photoreceptors, or when the in the retina, are not able to translate those signals anymore, then there is a loss of vision. There's a macular degeneration. I know I'm saying that wrong, but it's when the retina starts not being able to translate those correctly. Now all the nerves are just fine. It's just that nothing's able to translate.
So if it was in like computer terms, all the wiring's good. It's just that the camera sensor is damaged or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So what now is a company has made a nanoretina.
Whoa.
What it is a tiny implant. It's 0.1 by 0.2 inches. It's really small.
Wow, we're talking, microscaler.
Yeah. But they insert it into the eye and attach it to the back onto your retina.
Whoa.
Yeah, it sounds really, really creepy, but it's minimally invasive. It can be done in 30 minutes or less.
Wow.
So it's like local anesthesia. It's just, no more scary than a cataract surgery. I mean, anything to your eye is kind of scary, but it's no more, complicated than that.
Like an imaging sensor that they can install on top of your retina?
Yes, literally. It's,
ooh. Ooh as in, that's gross because I'm looking at a video and they're inserting it into somebody's eye, but that's ooh as in, that's incredible.
Yeah, so, it goes into the back of your eye, onto the retina, and it just has little, stems that, presses down into the retina. So they're able to then, the nerves are able to connect with that, and it's able to sort of bypass the retina.
So the nerves take root with this implant.
Mm-hmm. So it's able to translate it. And so it's not doing anything to change the mechanism of the eye. The light still works like a normal eye works. It's just sort of making a bridge. Making a bridge to kind of pass it through.
It's amazing that some sort of conventional technology can actually communicate and transmit with our biological technology.
Well, of course, it won't work right at first. There've already been at least one test subject to have had this. And essentially right at first, the first day it's, going from nothing to, hey, there's black and white. Oh, hey, there's something. Oh, now I can see sort of outlines of stuff. So, it takes a little bit of time for your brain to kind
adapts. Okay.
Yeah, so your brain has to readapt to figure out these new signals coming in.
That's really pretty incredible, though. This is like the visor, only way more discreet. Now, there must be like some pretty hefty pre-requirements. Like you must have to have a certain type of blindness, right? It's got to be.
Yeah, it's very specific.
Like you have to have the nerves fully developed.
Yeah, the nerves have to be completely fine. It's literally there's only a handful of diseases, but it's that where the retina is not able to translate anymore. Mostly it's I'm trying to remember the exact name, macular degeneration. It's where suddenly the center of your vision starts going away. and then it just kind of billows out from there. Generally, people will just lose that kind of center. Like your whole, like, you're looking at something and the outside of your computer has been able to see, but not your screen at all.
Do you think, is this because it's just a straight pass-through? It's not really doing much more than just a bridge of the light? Is it not? Do you think it's not very likely that this is probably very out there? But I saw it mentioned in the chat room, so I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
If the current stage just is a pass-through, but what if they could build one layer on top of that where they could actually superimpose an image? So it would be sort of like the light shines through and shines through this image, and then the nerve would transfer that data back. So it would almost be like if you could have a heads-up display on one of these things. Like way, way down the road. I know that's totally crazy out there, but it could be an interesting, like, this is how we originally developed the technology, is to help with this kind of, life-altering issue that people have, and trying to give them some sort of semblance of vision back. And then it could always progress from that point to something much more mainstream, like Google Glasses built in, as Dreams Void puts it.
Sounds creepy, but a lot of technologies do go there. It starts off for one thing and then it translates into, it branches off to a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, totally. I mean, absolutely. Like, we've talked about exoskeletons too, to kind of help people who are paraplegic, but they also have military applications so that soldiers can carry more equipment on the battlefield.
Yeah. So it is like one of those things. This is only, this is the whole point, is being able to, it's able to collect the light. It's just little implants that are able to take it and, bring it there.
Right.
And the specific company has, specific algorithms that can do 100 levels of grayscale. It's not color, but it allows you to translate, a grayscale image. And the theory is that you could have it so that every pixel, every little bit could connect straightly to a neuron. And so they can actually get these, more and more detailed, as you increase the, the pixels, how many pixels you can implant on there. So it's able to do that. And it's kind of looking at some of these things where they're like, hey, this is an image and it gets better and it's better. It's like, better resolution on your computer screen. It's like if they're able to hit that up a couple notches, then it gets better and better resolution.
Yeah.
For some of these diseases, you only lose part of the vision. Right. But there is a rare case that you lose complete vision. And so in either way, whether you have only outlines of things you can see or sort of a rough grayscale, then any of those things is a mass improvement on
massive,
quality of life and being able to do things. In fact, there's other things like this. Another company, SecondSight, has retinal prostheses also.
Okay.
And so through these various things, now that one has like a little antenna and it has electrical case, so all these kind of things. But in either case, it's a couple of the people were able to say that large print held up close, they're actually able to read again.
Jeez.
Now, one thing with this, with this nanoretina is that, it has to be powered. But they've got it down so that it only needs, a tiny bit. It only needs like a microwatt. So what they do is they have, a set of glasses. And then they have built into that glasses a little infrared light that can shine into the eye. So it's not going to be damaged. But it supplies the energy to the chip.
Oh, so they do have to wear it with a pair of glasses then?
Yeah, so you have a pair of glasses that you put on and it powers your eyeball.
Yeah, okay.
So you're not going to look any different from, me who has, vision, but all blurry vision. But,
so this is actually a powered device. Okay, so it is doing some sort of active management of the signal.
Yeah, it has. So it is actually doing that. There is, algorithms input into it. They have a proprietary, and they're hoping to kind of get that up, as they increase that, they increase the size of the chip and all these type of things so that, the glasses can already provide up to, 3 milliwatts. So they're already above what it's required. So they have a little bit of wiggle room there. But it's, completely remote control. You just put on a pair of glasses and it, has a little light that goes bling right into your eye and powers it.
And it turns it off.
No, then you start powering down, but that's okay.
Yeah. But I mean, that'd be...
When you're asleep,
that seems reasonable.
Yeah, when you're asleep, you generally don't have to look out of your eyes.
Interesting.
Most of the time.
Interesting that was the very interesting solution to how they powered it. I didn't even realize. I kind of just thought maybe because it was just doing some sort of pass-through, it just didn't need it. But that makes sense.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, there's a little bit needed. This is
really a piece of electronics. This is truly a little processor.
Yeah, I mean, each little bit of this was kind of amazing to me that they were able to kind of, very simple treatment, put this kind of on the back of the eye and then power it through, remote control through glasses. It's really exciting in the fact that they've already had a few people that have had this done, and now they're moving on to larger trials. So hopefully, you're able to increase this and it can show. They think, accepted recovery times are a week.
Okay, that'd be worth it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so they'll be able to distinguish faces, look side to side.
Wow.
You don't have to, you have to turn your head all the way to the side and able to see what's in front of you. But they can already, certain people can already see, shapes and trap objects. So all these type of things are kind of coming together. But this nanoretina really intrigued me because if it's, it's ease of putting it on, it's, remote control, it's tiny. It really innovative in the way that it kind of put together that I saw it as,
and so many incredible breakthroughs that it can stand on. I mean, like the medical abilities to do that kind of precision surgery, the nanotechnology to get something that's actually this capable, that small.
Yeah,
it's a lot of science that this is being built on top of.
Yeah, and I also find it interesting that it doesn't require, any major changes to the eye itself. It's using the eye as it is and as it's built. It's just a tiny little blip on the back of your retina. And
it's even more incredible that it's able to communicate, I think, with our nerves. And it's able to use our own body's communication system.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
I know.
Well, any other thoughts on that one?
No, I'm just looking forward to how this works out.
Yeah, see where it goes.
Yeah.
Well, boom. Let's take a pause right here because I have a very important message that I want to get out there. So a lot of folks know that if you go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com, I mention the affiliate pages a lot because it's how we actually pay the bills here at Jupiter Broadcasting. And what's awesome about it is it lets our own audience contribute directly to us. We don't have to worry about advertisers and things like that. We keep all the advertising to a minimum. However, and I was hoping this wouldn't be an issue, but now I'm almost like, I'm having deja vu, like I think I predicted this would happen. A lot of you out there very, very, very appreciatively installed our Chrome extension. I'm very appreciative that you did that because when you visit things like our affiliates, it'll automatically tag those sessions to contribute your shopping session to Jupiter Broadcasting. And that has been a huge, huge help to us. However, now here's the downside. A lot of browsers, aka Chrome and Firefox, aka the ones we have extensions for, do frequent updates. I think Internet Explorer is like the only one, and Safari are like the only ones that don't do frequent updates. And we don't even have plugins for those ones. And one of the things Chrome does now, and Chrome does update in the background silently, is it's automatically disabling extensions that don't come from the Chrome web app store. Now, we're working on getting our extension in there, but that means the Jupiter Broadcasting affiliate extension is getting disabled on lots of systems out there, and our affiliate revenue has dropped off the cliff. In fact, it's really dropped off the cliff that we're going to have a serious problem if this next month turns out like this. So if you would do me a favor, go into your Chrome settings, check your extension settings, find the Jupiter Broadcasting affiliate redirect extension in there, and make sure that enabled checkbox is on. And we'll have updates in the future from the actual Chrome extension store to sort of avoid this issue. But until we get in there and get approved, please go check that and help us out. And something to keep in mind when you are shopping over at Amazon.com is that new Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1 on Blu-ray, still going for the $60 sale price. So it's normally $70. Amazon has it for $60. So that's, I think, that's a pretty good deal. Yeah. I think Best Buy has it for $130. So, geez, that's a pretty good savings if you get it from Amazon for $60. I can vouch for this one, folks. This looks incredible. I mean, the colors just pop. They are so amazing. And what really looks good is the special effects. They're not overdone. They didn't go Lucas on them. They're just right. So, and that's a great way if you buy that either using a browser with our extension or by clicking on the Amazon US link down below at jupiterbroadcasting.com before you buy that Star Trek box set for yourself. portion of your shopping session will be contributed to Jupiter Broadcasting. And thank you to everyone who does that. That keeps us independent, and that keeps me on the air and keeps us going. But I really need everyone to please go check their extensions, because boy, that was some depressing news, Heather. But
oh yeah,
enough with that. Let's do the news bite. News bite. Yeah, I see. I even have a news bite top hat that I flip up in the air. I mean,
okay. I kind of pictured that.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, theater of the mind. All right. Well, what is our story in the news bite?
Possible allergy treatments.
Oh, very good. Okay, tell me about this.
So there are, allergies to eggs. And so, you can, with these, but exposure to increasing amount of eggs every day over the course of 2 years in one study seemed to rid some children of that egg allergy.
Oh.
So it's, more than curing it, it's more than more providing protection against an accidental reaction.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the test what they did was they took a skin prick test, medical history, and all these type of things to detect the antibodies of this egg protein, which gave them 55 kids ages from 5 to 11 that had an egg allergy. And so then they had everybody have some unmarked powder added to their food daily. And then, of course, 40 were randomly assigned the egg, 15 got cornstarch, so it started off with a few grains of powdered egg. And, over the course of 2 years, it got up to a third of an egg. So they're increasing this microscopically slowly. What was interesting is after 22 months, 30 of those 40 kids that were able to continue the treatment were able to just, consume a little bit of egg without having any reaction.
Okay.
Of course, through the course of a study, you have some that have to drop out because, they do have an allergic reaction and, it's not going to go. But what they were able to prove is sort of this gradual, very minute increase was able to sort of train the immune system.
To build a tolerance.
To build up a tolerance. And, some of them after, they stopped the test, a couple of them even 4 to 6 weeks afterward, didn't get a reaction. A year later, a handful of the kids could eat eggs,
wow.
Just regularly. Now, for the most part, this is sort of a daily treatment type thing where you take a little bit of this and you keep that up. But, for...
Well, now how is this so... So is what we're discovering here that you can do small incremental doses that over a slow but steady period of time you can do slight increases and build the tolerance? Is that kind of what we've established here?
Yeah, kind of. Of course, there's a huge disclaimer that I'll say 10,000 times. Do not try this at home under any circumstances.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, I didn't really know that was in dispute. So my own personal experience with paleo diet is I cut out beer, and then I have to very slowly reintroduce it. I can't just, or else I'll get very sick. Yeah, and same with dairy. Is I have to very carefully, if you can't just go hog. But now if I do a little bit here and a little bit there, and I kind of increase it over a period of 2 weeks, 3 weeks even, then I'm able to then just sit down and consume it regularly without any real side effects. Yeah,
but there's a slight difference in the fact that, with egg, peanut, milk.
Those are horrible ones, yeah.
Yeah, they're horrible. It's not just that. It's an immune reaction. Even with... lactose intolerance, like I have, it's, the inability to break down those sugars. So it's something, in the body that's not able to do something. But for eggs and peanuts and milk, it is literally an immune system reaction.
And just that's the key, right? Is that
if people who get a wasp, sting them and they have to have, a shot right there ready before they're, go into very badness and have to visit the hospital. So what this is, for these people that, they want to go through and be able to test and see what, there'd be obviously a certain percentage of that population that might be able to do this treatment. So you could have it so that, because, peanut allergies are on a rise.
Big time,
some schools have to have, strict policies of no peanut butter whatsoever in the school, or they have to have, separate areas.
I think everybody knows somebody in the family now that has a peanut allergy, where it seemed like, that wasn't the case, when I was younger.
Yeah, I don't have it in my family, but some of the some of the soap at my work, there's a machine shop there, so it has to be a little gritty. And in one of those, there's peanut shells. So I always, remind the HR department, to, obviously we cannot, you're not going to discriminate against anything, but it's something to kind of pass by someone. Like there's a dog in the office. We have, peanuts in this soap, just so you're aware.
Right.
In case you need to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Or say, yeah, I really don't want to visit the hospital every time I go to work, so I think I will stay far away from the peanuts.
Why are my hands swelling? Yeah,
Why
exactly.
cannot I breathe?
Right.
So with anything, if you could gradually increase, it takes 2 years to do this, to sort of retrain the immune system. And it won't work for everybody either. But if you can do that so that someone with these kind of allergies can be accidentally exposed, sometimes there's a little bit of egg or peanut in something, or it's, been in a kitchen with peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a whole bunch of dangers to that. Maybe then you can relax the paranoia just slightly.
Yeah, that would be very nice, because we have people in our family who are allergic to that. And, and our son Dylan has developed all kinds of different allergies that we don't really suffer from, like grass allergies and maybe, maybe my wife does slightly. But it's been interesting to see him, go from like having no cat allergy at all, playing with cats as a young kid, all that kind of thing. Yeah. And then just over a period of a few weeks, now all of a sudden he gets horribly allergic, and now he's got like all this, allergy stuff he has to take if he's around a cat.
Yeah, and it'll change as he gets older too. I had one of my best friend's little sister had a severe allergy to penicillin growing up, and that was always fun. And she got retested when she went to go to college, and it was fine again. So these things change over time, sometimes for random, who knows why reasons. But, if you could, tone down some of these more serious allergies.
Like you said, for the accidents.
Yeah, for these accidents, or when you're near something, then it's so much better. You don't have to be so afraid that there's going to be such a major reaction.
But it requires them to stay pretty loyal to a treatment regimen, right?
Yes. Well, as I said, I'm lactose intolerant. If I want, some dairy, and I was born with it, so I'm fairly severely sometimes. So if I, growing up, if I wanted something in that area, I had to take a pill.
Yeah, okay.
So it's, it's that. If you have severe allergies, my mom has allergic to everything under the sun except pine, which she is lucky because there's pine trees everywhere. I think she'd die. But, she has to have shots. Oh. So she takes her shots, and she's able to breathe and things like that, and it's much nicer.
Yeah.
So, any of these serious allergies, you're having to be very aware about what's around you. So I don't think that some sort of regimen, take this pill is going to be anything major.
It'd be totally worth it for people who really suffer from like the peanut allergies and stuff too.
Yeah, especially for kids who might not be super aware of, maybe they're not old enough, or they're goofing around at a party and they're like, oh yeah, munch. Oh wait, no,
that's gotta be
snacked on the wrong snack.
Geez. Now you're making me panic about my future challenges I'm going to have as a parent. Oh my goodness, Heather, that must be a nightmare.
It's okay. I was at birthday parties and parents were trying to feed me ice cream, and I was like, no, thank you. I felt like they were drug dealers. They're like, we promise we won't tell your mom. We won't tell your mom you can have ice cream. My mom shows up.
I had to seriously fight off cake today. It was ridiculous. I had to go into battle mode to get away from this cake.
Yeah.
People want to really push cake.
They do. Sometimes they want to push it, and you're like, you're a drug dealer. Please go away.
Well, any other thoughts on that story?
No, it's just a little bit of hope for people with, these more severe food allergies, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where that goes.
All right, Heather, well, it's armed and loaded. Let's launch into the 2-Byte News. 2-Byte News. Dun, 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 dun. 2-Byte News.
Everyone waves their arm at the 2-Byte News.
The 2-Byte News. All right, so what is the first story in the 2-Byte News?
Okay, if you've ever thought you smelled an incoming storm, you're correct.
I knew it. I know I wasn't crazy.
Nope, none of us are crazy. So, some people have heard of this before, that it's the ozone. There's some ozone in the air. It gives a sweet, pungent, zing.
I've always thought it was rain hitting the cement.
There is that now, too. What there is there's, petrichor, they're actually calling it. So, the first thing you smell is this ozone. And then you can smell, when the rain hits the ground and it hits, decomposing plant or animal matter and all this kind of stuff. And, and then it attaches to those and it throws it up in the air.
Yeah.
And then you're able to smell that. So it's,
maybe this is how animals get a heads up on what's coming down. Because they got a better sense of smell.
Yeah, microbiologist suggests that maybe that geosmin fragrance is actually like a beacon. Maybe helps camels find their way to desert oases. So it was one of these where there's multiple smells going on there. Now in the city, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because some of those smells won't come out, but in the suburbs or anything like that,
there's definitely a smell when you're out. Yeah, when you're out, and I grew up in the suburbs, and there's definitely a smell. There's a storm coming. Gives you a chance to talk like some old Western guy.
Yeah, I used to drive my mom crazy. I'm like, the rain's gonna start in 30 minutes, and like I would freak my mom out because I was like, at one point I was really good at that.
Yeah,
I'd be like, gonna start raining at 15 and it's gonna get really hard at 30. We gotta move.
Wow, did you know there's an app now that does exactly that? It's called Dark Sky, and it tells you exactly how long it's gonna rain, how heavy it'll be, and when it's gonna stop, and then it'll tell you when it's gonna start again. It's pretty crazy. It's great. Oh. It's like if you have a 20-minute window and you need to run somewhere, you need to know when the wind. This is an issue in Seattle. This is a problem. Yeah. You need to know when you're going to be able to run to go get something you don't want to get poured on. It's very cool. So you would have been very handy up here as a kid because that would have been a very in-demand skill.
It would have been handy here in Denver. This time of year, they call it the monsoon season.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like every evening, like clockwork, so many times that it's like storm and gone. Storm and gone. And sometimes it's like pouring down rain and the roadways start flooding and then like, an hour later you're like, hi rain, bye.
Now, you did promise talking about braziers, didn't you?
Yes, like bras.
Yes.
Like everyone kind of laughs and goes, you must not be talking about that. And yes, I am. So, we thought that there is, it went from the corset to this, maybe it's a little over 100 years old.
Okay.
But now archaeologists have found 4 linen bras dating back to the Middle Ages in an Australian castle. They were unearthed in 2008, and it was like in a whole bunch of different, over 2,000 textile fragments.
Really?
Yeah, and like not just vaguely looking like, but
that's
like,
totally a bra.
Yeah, like a modern bra. Some of them actually were decorated with like lace and ornamentation.
Whoa, is this
not ladies, no.
Okay. I couldn't tell what that was. I'm like, I don't.
Going there. No, it's men. There weren't really ladies underwear.
Those 600-year-old ladies were getting down with that.
No, that's for the boys.
Okay, well, those boys were getting down. I mean, that's
there you
never
go.
Much. So didn't they credit? So I guess the man, now that we've been credited as the inventor of the bra, might be a scam.
No, well, it might have just gone from bra to corset and then back again. So
okay, so he kind of reinvented.
Yeah, so kind of reinvented is one of those things like often comes up is a new invention comes up and multiple people invent it practically at the same time.
Yeah, like like the TV and the phone. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah,
so there's a certain amount of technology there. So it went in waves. So nobody remembered that it started off that way, and then it went to the corset, and then it came back. But it's interesting. They actually found it in 2008, but they were really so taken aback, and they're like, "All right, we're going to double check this." So they like carbon dated everything to make sure that everything was on the up and up before they came out and said anything about this.
Huh. Well, so what does this now mean? Anything we just an interesting gives us just interesting insight on the past, I guess. Yeah, just interesting. Like you said, just interesting how it's going and how things kind of go back and forth, and just sort of a new. This is what we thought that this was how it works. We thought that this came in the last 100 years. Right. It was very straightforward, and now it's like, oh wait, maybe not. Love that. I love that. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. And pictures of what that looks like. And yeah, there's no doubt about it in the show notes. No, go to the show notes. There's a picture there. It's absolutely. There's just no question. All right. Well, this sounds really cool. Okay. A sound-based fire extinguisher. Yes. It's only just proof of concept stages. So, it's very early. They had 2 big speakers. There's a video in the show notes, or in the enhanced audio version, probably. Mm-hmm. Probably. Good chance.
There's a good chance. Two really loud speakers that blasted out sound at a specific frequency, and that was able to disrupt the flame. It sort of spread the heat over a larger
There's the tone
area.
right there. That's the tone that kills fire. You like that?
There you go. Now, can it be scaled up? We don't know. You know, who really knows? But there's very specific applications. If this actually works, imagine somebody suggested to me, what about a server room?
Gosh, yeah, that'd be a great use for this.
Or, you know, something that you don't particularly want.
Don't want water.
Water spraying everywhere or any chemicals if you can help it. Because, you know, there are various chemical ones. But maybe you'd like it so that, you know, you turn on the, you know, giant speakers and zoom.
Yeah.
And it helps do that. Now, this is on a very small scale. Will it actually work when it's, you know, brought up to case? Could it even work in, you know, military vehicles or anything like this? We're not quite sure, but
Another DARPA project. These guys get to work on the
Yes.
coolest stuff ever.
oh my gosh, their DARPA stuff is really crazy out there.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of, you know, small business contract work, you know, with NASA, one with Department of Defense, tried to go for some Department of Energy ones, and then DARPA stuff is just like, what is the craziest thing you can think of?
Yeah.
And do you think you could do it? And are we interested? Go.
Can it be done? Yes.
Not can it be done? Do you have anything that sounds interesting enough for you to try it?
Oh, okay. Just try it. Just try it.
You know, try to see if you can make it work.
Gotcha.
That's cool.
That
Try
is-
it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can I get one of those jobs? I want one of those jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck trying to get one of those
Yeah.
contracts. You just have to get the right little. It's crazy, but those things are crazy fun.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, well, so go check out this video in the show notes if you want to rock out to that tone.
Yes.
Yeah, that's got it right there. All right, now a couple of updates to get to.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think I have a
All right.
jingle for updates. Do you want me to just, I could do a jingle. Here we go. You ready?
Okay.
Wait. Yeah.
That's not an
No.
update sound.
Okay, all right. How about this one?
Okay, it's better.
We'll go with that. Okay, we'll go with that. Okay.
We'll go with that. All right. We've talked about it quite a bit, but Alzheimer's treatments.
Mm-hmm.
Both of us have, family members who have had to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the thing that goes into the brain that attaches brain, sort of clogs up the receptors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now there's a pharmaceutical company that says they found a drug that, if in larger clinical trials, might actually be able to stabilize patients and completely stop the disease.
Whoa.
So
Really?
it's a whole bunch of soup of antibodies, you know, from blood donors. This drug is actually already approved for certain immune disorders.
Okay. So it's
So
already been, that means it's already been human tested.
It's already been human tested, so it's approved. Now, because it's already in demand and it's based on a donor system, widespread use of this is kind of iffy.
Okay.
But what's promising is they only tested it on 4 patients so far. But they gave them this intravenous, medication, and they plateaued for 3 years. So they were able to, no decline in cognition, the ability to perform everyday tasks.
Wow.
Completely normal. Now, they're kind of holding off because, Alzheimer's does plateau.
Okay.
You'll get you'll have a decline and then it'll plateau for a little while. Then you'll have a sudden decline. And,
Okay.
that's kind of how it works. But
Yeah.
they're, a 3-year, plateau kind of,
Seems positive.
it seems very positive now until they do, larger studies, double blind, so the doctor doesn't know, the patient doesn't know, nobody knows, except some bean counter hidden away behind a one-way mirror knows who's getting what to be able to sort of figure this out. Now, it'll also prove, now what this doing is it's attacking the amyloid-beta peptide. This is what I was trying to remember earlier.
Okay.
What we've, that's the thing that's clogging up the brain. We've been able to see it, on MRIs, be able to check and be like, hey, there it is.
Right.
So this is testing. What this will also do is help prove.
They
another
called
proof
it like not the
concept.
fingerprint, but it was like the marker for Alzheimer's, right? Is that what they called it? Isn't that? Am I
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's another marker. And this is another sort of, it's another study that sort of proves if correct, that would be a marker. That would be sort of the target of what's going on.
Huh.
So, like I said, it's based on a donor program, so it's not like it can be, everybody can get it today. But should it work, then there could probably be a lot of drug trials to see what could be used to mimic that ability. So you have those antibodies, and how can you mimic it? How are ways that you can increase this in order to be used on a larger scale? Because insurance companies don't cover it for Alzheimer's right now. There have been a couple people who've been able to afford the blanket cost, and treat themselves with this. But because it's used specifically for a couple of immune disorders, that's what it's approved for right now. But it is very promising when these type of things come out and they're like, oh wow, this also works for this disease. Because it's a drug that's already had all the way to approval. It's something it's gone all the way there. And so now we found out that this might be able to be used to help, stabilize those amyloid-beta peptides. And should they be able to find a drug that could synthesize that, to mirror what's going on, then the ability to stabilize that kind of a disease is amazingly, has a lot of potential that I want to be really excited when any of this stuff comes out. I so want to be excited.
I do too, and I actually think there's some more merit to it when it's working with stuff that's already in use. Because that stuff it means there's already a production pipeline for it. It's already been tested. It's patented, which means that they've already invested a ton of money into it, and they're going to keep investing money into it. And it already has distribution. Yeah. So that
the only reason why this couldn't go wide scale immediately is because it is based off blood donors. So
and that's
there's
right. I know.
There is some limited supply. There's a lot of demand, but there wouldn't be the supply to meet up with that.
Science just needs to figure that part out.
Yeah, once we figure that out and how we can move forward with that to put it on the large scale, then not only would it be incredibly excited to Alzheimer's. I mean, there's a lot of people with immune disorders who would be a lot better off without having to be dependent upon specific blood donors. But oh my goodness, this kind of stuff makes me excited.
Very much
and hopeful that it seems like we're getting one step closer each time.
Yeah. I mean, it's been interesting just to follow the progress since we've been doing the show. There's been some there's very significant progress. And I guess that kind of makes sense that as you begin to learn more, it's sort of, you build steam. It's a snowball effect.
Oh, definitely. They were able to, I remember, when we first talked about it, like, oh, wow, this marker, it's, since the smell goes first, hey, that's something to test off of. They're like, oh, wait, this marker gathers on the smell receptors. I wonder what that is. Oh, yeah, it's this. And
That's right.
clearing this out will improve the brain function and all these kind of things building up. And it feels like I'm not sure whether just like watching all the science news as closely as I am because of SciByte. I was like, am I just now seeing all the buildup about this, or is it just recently? It seems like it's a recent thing.
Hard to, I guess that's a good point. It could be a little bit of confirmation bias in some sense, but it does feel like it's I've never really heard very many big breakthroughs about it, or really any major progress on it until just recently. And I swear that's been. Because I followed it because of my family. I followed it a little closer than I think I would have normally. So I don't remember anything major jumping out at me except for the things we've really talked about.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's interesting, another step. And I'm hoping that they can find a way to put this in a mass production. They can figure out that, once they figure out that step, and when the phase 3 trials go through and that proves out, then looking forward to that day.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other thoughts on that
one? No.
Now, this week, we lost one of our very own space pioneers, and honestly, she was too young. At the age of 61, Sally Ride passed away from her battle with cancer. And I'm sure you must have a few thoughts on this.
Yeah. Well, first off, taking a couple steps back, everyone says, she's the first woman in space. Well, technically, first American woman.
Right.
There were 2 Russian cosmonauts. The first one back in '63, actually, who were able to go up first. But Sally Ride, oddly enough, she didn't start off saying, "I want to be an astronaut." She was in she saw an ad at the Stanford student newspaper that said, "Hey, NASA's looking for astronauts and scientists and engineers." And at that point, they had only really done military personnel and of course men. It was the first class after Apollo. So they put us out, and then they accept a certain they call it an astronaut class. So they put this class together and included 6 women. Out of the 8,000 applications, they accept 35 people. 6 women. Actually, this group had a lot of firsts. It was first woman, first African American astronaut to go in space, and various things like that. But Sally Ride herself, just as a figure more than anything else for America. Growing up, I I remember very actively involved with knowing names and dates and things for during the Challenger accident. And so she'd been up on, actually she flew twice on Challenger before that happened. Her only 2 flights were on the Challenger space shuttle. And so that had already been since set. So, growing up, it was like women in space, cool. That's a stamp.
Right.
Approval, a big check mark stamp.
Yeah, and it can happen.
Yeah, and she was a physicist. She had a physics degree. I had my, I had just got a physics degree.
It was also very important, wasn't it, that she wasn't military, she was a scientist.
Yeah, she was, she was civilian. Actually, even to date, she is still, and will always be, the youngest astronaut to fly on the space shuttle.
Yeah.
She was 32 years old, and she was the youngest.
There you go.
But, more than any, obviously sad, effect on me, but more than that, even post NASA, she did a lot of educational stuff, which I have a lot of respect for. She was on the investigation panel for, the Challenger Columbia space accidents.
Right.
The only person to be on both. But she went to teach at the University of California after she left NASA, and then she founded her own company, the Sally Ride Science, in 2001. And that started, its whole goal was to get kids, like middle school type age kids, involved with science. She did moon camp. We talked about it for the earlier this year with the, lunar orbiters that were looking at the gravity of the moon, ebb and flow. And they had the moon cam, that little imager on there that kids in schools could apply to get a picture taken of some part of the moon. She before that, in 95, she actually had what was called Earth Camp, KidSat at the time. So it was on space shuttles, and then it moved on to the space station where kids could go on and say, "I want a picture of this part of the Earth." So it was sort of bridging the gap, and almost like scientists request time on the Hubble. Like, I want to look at this object.
Oh, yeah.
It allowed, that's how I equate it.
Right.
It's like kids were able to, fill out a form, talk about, what they wanted to do, where they wanted to look, and then, submit it so that a picture of, the Earth or the moon could be taken and they could get their data. And, she wrote 6 books or so, links to a whole bunch of those in the show notes. So as a figure more than anything, she flew on the shuttle twice. It was saying, hey, she can do it. There were 6 women. Any one of them might have been the first. But it was just doing that, and the educational thing that she took. I did a lot of the educational outreach when I was younger, and that really meant a lot to me. I was like, hey, I can see that, and those type of programs did a lot.
And there's a lot to be said for being that figure, and
yeah,
and then really, she lived up to it. She never really, she never really disappointed anyone. She's just seemed like a really great person all around.
Oh yeah, I did a lot of astronomy growing up, so I have a telescope, and meet people, and you get their signature. Except I lose everything in 2 seconds flat. So I had, signatures on a pad of paper that are goodness knows where in the universe. But one thing I never lost, and I had with me almost all the time, was my telescope. So I would get people to sign my telescope.
Oh, good idea. Oh, cool.
So, I moved up here to Colorado, and my telescope is still in my parents' house, safe and tucked in until I have a safe place to have it up here. And I'm willing to have it transported in some way to, part way across the country. And she was doing a radio interview in a town over. So my mom heard it. They kind of stalked her, went to the radio station, is like waiting in the lobby. She's like, "Hi, can you sign this?"
It's for my daughter. She's a big fan.
She's like, "Yeah, pretty much."
That's awesome.
I remember.
Way to go, Mom.
Yeah, I remember looking at the news that day. I was pulling it up and I saw that and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And my husband was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "His Ride died."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh my gosh." And then, 2 hours later, my mom called. She's like, "Hi, sweetie." I'm like, "I know."
Yeah, I heard the news.
I was like, it was funny. That's all I said. "I know." She's like, "Oh, you saw?" I was like, "Yeah." It was like immediately we knew what was going on.
She was ready to brace. She had braced herself to give you bad news.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you already saw. Okay, good."
Yeah. And then I get here off the phone to my, talking to my dad. He's like, "Yeah, she saw it.
Yeah.
She saw the news." They were both like, "We have to call Heather." But, you
have nice parents.
I was only slightly obsessed with space since I could talk, I think. I was like,
I never would have guessed.
Yeah, no, it was really a surprise. But, the fact that she was there and she was able to say, that I never thought that it wasn't possible, that, I could do it if I wanted to be an astronaut, if I could do that, I could do that. If I wanted to, go into physics and do whatever I wanted. And the fact that she was, she continued to work, trying to educate kids, trying to push kids in the math and the science to instill in them that, it's possible help get exciting curricula and materials to schools.
Engage.
Yeah, because so often it's hard for some teachers to talk about some of these sciences. They may not know a lot about. I had a couple teachers who knew I was so obsessed that, somebody asked a question, they're like, "I don't know, Heather, what's the answer?" They'd be like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah." We're like, "All right, good. That was the answer."
Early Wikipedia.
Yeah, it was a little like that. So it's, a lot of teachers cannot be up to date on so many of these different sciences. So being able to offer that kind of excitement and sort of very engaging, as you said, education does a lot. And that she was able to push those type of programs like, Earth Cam and Moon Cam. It was really exciting that she was able to do that. And
it made a big difference for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, not just me. There are a lot of people who it made such a huge difference in.
Very true. Very true. And you know what? And she'll still, all of her legacy still lives on.
Oh yeah, there's all the programs are still there, and they're still running.
And everything she accomplished has still been accomplished, and it's still something people can look to. Oh
yeah, I mean, she said it. It's there. The footprint is in history.
Exactly.
Everyone just kind of builds on that.
All right, Heather. Well, I have a flashing light here on the proximity SciByte sensor, but do you have any other closing thoughts before I hit the flashing button?
No, just remembering all the accomplishments she did.
Absolutely. All right, well, I'm going to smack it. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness.
What did you do?
It's a spacecraft update.
It is.
Is this a good one? Is this good?
Yes, the Shuttle Enterprise. If you're in New York, I'm jealous because it's open house.
Oh, cool.
You can actually go and see it now. Half a dozen.
You can go in there? Oh, that's so neat.
They've got their big blow-up dome. So it's, big silver, kind of dark. They have, all the sorts of screens and interactions. So
it's very moody. It looks very cool.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to be sort of that effort of, space and that kind of feel to it.
It does, because it's very dark, and then they have a very mood lighting along the bottom. And displays and various information. And
yep, they have it built so you can, go nose to nose with it, as they say, and peek into the crew cabin windows.
So you don't get to go inside the space shuttle itself?
No.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure none of these are going to be able to.
Why? I wanna.
They had to do a lot of work to get them sort of despaced, because there's so much equipment and gases and chemicals that are in these that had to be stripped out and cleaned in order for them to be, safe enough to be on display. So
I bet really special people get to go inside.
Maybe.
Yeah. Bet if Mark Zuckerberg went, Mark Zuckerberg probably gets to go in there, and
stupid Mark.
Justin Bieber probably gets to go in there.
I hope not.
So very cool. Sorry. So if they're in New York, they should go see that.
New York, totally go see it at the Intrepid Air and Space Museum. As I said before, this is not its final home. This is kind of as they raise the funds to make a more permanent home, a building just across the street from the flight deck. So it's very nearby, but not on the ship itself. But for right now, they've got that up, and everyone can go see it now.
Now, something that's happening in just a few days. I'm sure, Heather, you probably aren't tracking this at all. But just in case you didn't know, the Curiosity rover is set to land in 12 days. That's August 5th. Yep.
SciByte 57 in 2 weeks. It will be just 2 days after the landing. I might have a few things to say.
Oh, my gosh. That's going to be a great episode.
Just maybe. There's just a fact that if you follow me on Twitter, that I have prepped up like 10 days worth of tweets as I lead up to it. I haven't quite finished all of them.
Wow.
It's like 10 days to, till it lands. And then like a little fact that includes number 10.
You're like pre-composing your tweets?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. That's
for certain like historical things and something like this, I kind of prep it so I can get all the wording right and I can be happy. But yeah, I'm pre-prepping these tweets, like counting it T-minus 10 days. We're like 10 days, and there's 10 times the science equipment, and things like that. So it has the number 10. And 9 days, it'll have the number 9.
That's awesome. So
I may be slightly excited about this.
Twitter.com/JB_Mars_base to get that action. To get those, you got to go follow Heather on Twitter. I'll put a link to that in the chat room too for the people who are watching live. They can go do that right now. They should.
You can.
These tweets have been pre-compiled for your enjoyment.
Yes, because I'm just slightly excited about this. Mm-hmm. One thing recently that had me really worried was one of the Mars orbiters, the Odyssey. Actually, they were going to hook it up so they were able to get direct data from the rover.
Okay.
So pretty much real time as it went down, and possibly even maybe take a snapshot of it. They're trying to get all the satellites, just lined up so that they can all get as much data as they can about the descent and the landing. And the major orbiter went in standby mode earlier this month. They were tweaking its orbit so that it'll be all ready, and then suddenly it went silent.
No.
Yeah, but it came back to life.
Oh, really?
There was like a planned another orbital adjustment, and the next orbital adjustment came, and then it called home again, and I was so excited.
Like, just kidding.
Yeah, it took a nap.
Wow.
But luckily, it just took a nap.
Are they worried that it might take another nap?
No, they don't have any other changes to make.
Okay. It happened after. Gotcha.
They were making an orbital change, and then it happened, and then the second orbital change that was queued up happened, and then it came back to life. Of course, everyone's always nervous that kind of thing could happen, but who knows what'll happen again.
Did they go over to the guy that programmed the last orbital change and be like, "What were you doing, you idiot?"
I'm pretty sure everyone was like turning blue. They're like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh."
Oh wow! Well, I can't wait to talk about that. So that'll be just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it wouldn't have affected anything, but it would have just slowed down the data rate. And
right. And you want your feed.
Yes, I want it as quickly as possible. I want to know exactly what's going on.
All right, Heather, we'll step in the time machine because it's time we go back. Whoop, here we go. Close the door. Close the door. Jeez. You got to remember not to wear fur when we go in this thing.
What?
I tell you, it's the static. All right, well, this first destination is 85 years ago, July 29th, 1927. What happened?
I'm trying to breathe after your...
after my fur comment?
Yes.
What can I say? I love the fashion, Heather. I love the fashion.
All right, I need a separate time machine. So, 85 years ago, not quite as funny as we were talking about, but the iron lung, the first one, was installed at Bellevue Hospital.
Wow.
So, post-war polio epidemic, it affected the muscles, and for some people it affected the diaphragm, so that they could not breathe in and out. So what this was, they stuck him in this giant, what they called iron lung, little head stuck out, and it was a bladder.
It was a chamber,
Yeah, a chamber with a little bladder, and they would increase and decrease the pressure in there to sort of force the chest cavity to expand and contract, to sort of, aid breathing.
Wow.
So, it would,
It was pushing and then rescinding on the chest. That's how it was doing it?
Yeah, so it's like
sounds hard on the ribs.
Not that excessive. I mean, think of a balloon. You blow up a balloon in Oklahoma, and then you go up to the top of the mountain in Colorado, and it gets really big.
Oh, I see.
Because you've reduced the pressure on the outside, so it gets bigger. And so now you go down to the Gulf of Mexico, and you're like 1 foot elevation, and the balloon is smaller now. So that's all it was doing, is it was increasing and decreasing the atmospheric pressure just that much, so that it would sort of just enough to pull the chest cavity open and out just a little bit to give it that aid in order to breathe.
But the downside is you were stuck in these machines, and at some points there was like, you go to a hospital and there would be a room full of these machines with kids in them and stuff like that. I mean, it really got pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rarely used today, but there was a severe epidemic, and it was, once they found this out, it was, you could keep people alive with it.
Yeah.
It might not have been the ideal situation, but it was, at that point, it was, let's keep them alive. Maybe we can find something to treat this, maybe not, but it works.
Right. Wow, interesting. So, and that was just shy of 90 years ago, right? You said 89 years ago?
85 years ago.
85 years ago. Wow. Not that long ago, really.
No.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Heather. That's something to keep in mind. Now, I do believe with that out of the way, it's time to look up into the sky.
That is right.
What do we got?
This week is not quite a really exciting week. We've got on Wednesday, we've got in the evening, the moon is right next to Spica and Saturn. Okay. Spica is a really bright star. Saturn is the higher of the two. So you see the moon and two bright stars. Saturn will be the higher. Spica will be really twinkly. I love that star. Sorry. On Friday evening, just to the left of the moon, about a fist width away at arm's length, you look at will be an orange dot there. It's actually a star Antares, not Mars in that case. And then on Saturday, it'll be to the lower right of the moon. So, pretty much the exciting part for this week is Saturn. You'll see the moon kind of shuffling about the sky, but not a lot of other big events this week in the sky.
So the moon on Saturday is the bright orange what? What did you say?
So it'll be on Saturday, just to the lower right of the moon.
Oh, okay.
The bright orange star Antares that was.
I think something was happening with the moon. It's like, oh, that sounds interesting. What are you talking about? That sounds very interesting.
No, some of those lunar eclipses make it do that, but no.
Okay.
On Friday the star will be to the left of the moon, and then on Saturday it'll be to the lower right. So it's kind of moving across the sky in the evenings.
Well, there you go, Heather. I think that's the whole show, yeah?
I think so.
All right, everyone. Well, here's the detail. You can watch SciByte live Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Pacific over at jblive.tv, or catch it for download Wednesday mornings over at jupiterbroadcasting.com. Be sure to check those show notes and get all the goodies that Heather puts in there. And Heather, thank you for a great show.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for tuning to this week's episode of SciByte, and we'll see you right back here next week.